Hello, my name's Troy Hale. I'm a professor of practice at Michigan State University. I teach documentary film, fiction filmmaking, and broadcast journalism.
Scene 1B, take 2.
I'm a recovering television journalist, and I'm a documentary filmmaker with a couple of films that are available worldwide on things like Apple TV, and I'll get into that at the end of this video.
Hey Siri, what's automation?
Over the pandemic, it was really tough for both students and instructors to figure out how to still teach and take classes. Luckily for me, I have video shooting and editing skills, and that's what I teach my students how to do. So they needed to go home and shoot with their iPhones.
So I know I've been shooting with my DSLR most of this time, and I know this class is about an iPhone, so brought my iPhone out to the tennis courts, do a couple lessons for you. Here we go.
Luckily, we live in this time that technology allows us to be able to do something like that. So that summer, once we shut down, I went right into production mode, really. I was shooting and editing 15-minute lectures. So I basically made a feature film and a half worth of content for my classes. Once I got that in place to put together as an asynchronous class, I had some time on my hands. So I decided to put together this project to try to really inspire my students, because they were bummed out. They couldn't go anywhere, they couldn't hang out with their friends, they couldn't go to class. So I wanted to inspire them to do something in this time period that they couldn't do any other time in their lives. And that was take advantage of the situation. We were doing everything at home. They could train for a marathon. They could do anything that they wanted to do because they weren't sitting in a class. So I took it upon myself to show them, and that's how I came up with this Professor on the Road project. The Professor on the Road project was a YouTube series, and I put that as the first thing in my week worth of class content. So when they would log into their computers, they would see what I was doing. And their job as students was to produce, 1 minute worth of video every single week. I produced 13 minutes of video every single week to show them that it could be done. So I tried to kind of lead by example and show them that they could do creative work.
You put it back in the foam, you get the box that luckily you didn't up too bad.
Even during the pandemic. So it was a 15-part series on YouTube, and I decided to do the van life thing after being inspired by watching too much YouTube over the pandemic. So I'm going to show you the final episode, which is episode 15. This project ended up winning 6 regional Emmy Awards. And I got the most positive feedback of any year of my 16 years worth of teaching this semester when I did this project. So let me show you what I did.
Teaching students during the pandemic has been quite a challenge for teachers all over the world. For me, I decided to take my students on a virtual road trip.
All right, here's to another day of online teaching.
Holy crap. We are in Malibu, in Hollywood. Welcome to California Part 2.
Oh my goodness, right on the edge.
Of course, I'm in Utah. I am in the middle of nowhere.
The world shut down for almost 2 years.
You're still on mute.
7.7 billion people on Earth were affected. We stayed at home and indoors, binge watching TV shows.
But maybe some Netflix first.
It was a stressful time.
All right, I've been working my off.
We learned new terminology: mask mandate, Fauci, pandemic, droplets, asymptomatic, flattening the curve, lockdown, physical distancing,
And some other things.
Throughout the pandemic, teachers struggled to keep students engaged and on task.
And you're gonna get levels here, which is really cool.
Parents were upset that their kids were not in school.
Hello and welcome to Journalism 306. I'm Troy Hale. This semester is a little bit different, of course. We have some of the stuff online.
Throughout the pandemic, teachers struggled. Students complained about being online. Because of all the negativity, as a university instructor, I wanted to take a different approach.
But maybe some Xbox first.
After binge watching travel shows on YouTube for the first 2 months of the pandemic, I took action and made a plan to create an experiential, experimental teaching project over the pandemic.
Part of my project was about being safe, and being safe didn't really mean staying in my house, but it meant staying away from people during a pandemic. I guess I can do that.
I bought an old truck camper, fixed it up, and hit the road.
This is my Top Gear moment. Power! This is a 2018 Ford F-150 XLT, highly modified 5-liter V8. And this is the Bonneville Salt Flats. Let's see what it can do.
I wanted to create an example to my students on how they could take advantage of this moment in their lives instead of complaining about it. I wanted people to be inspired by the freedom of not having to sit in a cubicle or a classroom.
So today is day 2.
I embarked on a cross-country trip with my trusted colleague, Dusty the Adventure Cat.
Dusty got to explore a little bit.
And we hit the road. We took our cameras and editing equipment with us. We documented each week in a YouTube series that went to my students each week, along with the public. I took my classes on a virtual road trip so my students could experience the world while being stuck inside their houses during the pandemic.
I forgot what I was talking about.
I shot classes from the Grand Canyon.
Okay, I'm sitting right on the freaking edge, and now I'm gonna go back to the car. I crawled out here on my butt. That's how high this is. But it's gorgeous.
Colorado, San Diego, Napa.
I'm gonna taste wine.
Is it 2016?
And I'm gonna grade papers. Sounds like a good combination.
I think my students got some pretty good grades that day.
There's still a little left in there.
This entire time I was teaching 4 classes,
So I always try to stress deadlines with my students.
grading, constantly shooting video,
The one place I had to stop was a place called Newspaper Rock. I wasn't going to stop there, but I teach journalism, and the thing's called Newspaper Rock. I've got to stop.
and spending 2 days editing each YouTube
I
episode.
found out that I'm doing a lot of editing. My last episode for this, I did like 2 days worth of editing. It was probably like 8 or 9 hours worth of editing on the episode. So I'm trying to simplify what I'm doing now. If I say something like I went to the USS Midway and just parking next to an aircraft carrier, and I saw an F-14 Tomcat, and I saw an A-7 Intruder.
I guess I've recently had a thing with planes.
You notice how I didn't say, well, I saw this Corsair and this P-51 and this, I did it again, didn't I? Well, now I gotta edit those things in.
Why do I do this to myself?
The idea behind all this was to try to inspire students and teachers to look at the positives of the situation we were in instead of always concentrating on the negatives. As humans, we tend to always look on the dark side of things.
It got a lot colder because now I'm in Utah. But wait, there's more.
Don't get me wrong, this pandemic was terrible on so many levels,
That is a long way down.
but we need to really look at the positives of life and humanity. We can't concentrate on all the bad things that happen in this world. It'll cause us to go crazy. Looking for those small elements of beauty in life is extremely important to keep us all sane.
This is one of my favorite sites for a TV show.
Attention all personnel. Report immediately to admitting ward and operating room. Attention all personnel. Report immediately to admitting ward and operating room.
Focusing our energy into the positive elements in life is extremely important.
Yesterday I went over to Hollywood. I actually met up with one of my former students who's out here doing all kinds of crazy work. I think he worked on the TV show The Flash, and he's worked on all this other really cool stuff that I don't think I'm allowed to talk about.
Was my teaching experiment successful? Well, last year I got the most positive response from my students in 14 years of teaching. I'm glad my students were able to look at the positive side of life even during these crazy times.
So that was my project. It was 15 episodes. It was about 3 or 4 months worth of work. A lot more work than you would think. A lot more work than what I thought I was getting myself into. But it was a lot of fun. And my students really, I got so many really nice emails that semester that they appreciated the work I was putting into the class, and they really enjoyed following me and my cat, Dusty the Adventure Cat, along for the semester. So right now, online classes are still, students really don't want to take them, but I think they're going to come back at some point because of the convenience factor. So we can do very, very creative stuff, even if we're stuck on a computer. So thanks so much for watching. I am a documentary filmmaker. I've got a couple films out right now on Apple TV and Amazon you can check out. I have an environmental comedy film called Shit Saves the World. SH*T Saves the World. That was a bad marketing joke on my part. That little star is really having SEO problems. And the film I did before that was called Fart, a Documentary. And then I did a bunch of other stuff that was a lot more serious, but it seems like this fun stuff is what's selling right now. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this and watching this presentation.